Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make an Italian classic, Risotto Milanese. There are three main types of risotto: Arborio, Carnaloni and Vialone. Their ability to absorb liquid and flavor whilst releasing the starch is very unique, and that is what makes the risotto so creamy. For this recipe I'm going to use Arborio. So let's start with the ingredients. For our risotto we need parmigiano, saffron, shallots, butter, white wine and vegetable broth. I always use homemade broth, and if you want to know how easy it is to make your own vegetable broth, I put up a link at the end of this clip to see for yourself. The saffron has an earthy flavor and it gives the risotto the beautiful yellow golden coloring. Just a tiny bit is enough to make that happen. Before you start with your risotto, you should have the broth ready. So I made the broth first, and now I just sieve it because we don't need the vegetables. And then I put the broth back in the pot and onto the stove to let it bubble away. So I want the risotto to absorb the maximum flavor from the shallots, and that's why it needs to be diced into very fine cubes. So I'm going to use a food processor, that will save me some time. So this is what I want them to look like, very fine cubes, and if I would have diced it myself, I would have needed at least 10 minutes. When I grate the parmigiano, I save the end piece because I wanted to make a parmigiano foam, which is made of milk and parmesan, and for that I need 250 ml of milk, which I'm going to heat up together with the parmigiano. I season it with some nutmeg, and then I just keep the temperature high enough but well below boiling point to give the parmigiano a chance to release its flavor into the milk. I chose a higher pot for the risotto and melted some butter in it, and now I just glaze the shallots until they get translucent. A wider pot or a pan does not work in favor of the risotto because the liquids get to be absorbed too quickly. So now I put in the risotto rice and I let it mingle with the shallots to absorb all their flavor. And now starts a very important part of cooking risotto. It is the constant stirring until the risotto is done. It allows the rice grains to rub on each other and release the starch, while you constantly nursing it with liquids. All of that is happening on medium heat. After 2 minutes or so, the rice heated up enough to deglaze it with the white wine. I let the white wine get absorbed completely before I add the first ladle of broth. This is also the time when I like to put in the saffron, which is now releasing its color and flavor slowly into the risotto. So the white wine had gotten completely absorbed, and now I put in the first ladle of broth. I do the same with the broth as I did before with the white wine. I let it completely absorb before I add the next ladle. This process repeats itself over 20 minutes until the broth is used up. One more thing, you want to make sure that you keep the broth around boiling point all the time. After about 5 minutes you're going to see that the yellow color of the saffron is pushing through and giving the risotto its nice golden color. So I continue to add the broth ladle by ladle, and I continue to stir continuously until my risotto is done. This may take about 20 minutes, maybe a little longer. My time is up and I turn off the heat completely, and then I add the cold butter, which gives the risotto a nice gloss and makes it even creamier. I would describe the texture as not liquid, but still flowing. And we have a word for that in German, which is called schlonsig. I know there is no word for that in English and it's a real tongue breaker, but schlonsig just nails it. I'm really happy about how the texture has gotten. It's in between liquid and creamy, but more creamy than liquid. And now that the butter has melted, I season it with black pepper and put in the Parmigiano. Salt may not be needed because the broth was salty enough, and so is the Parmigiano. So what do you think? Doesn't this risotto look amazing? So now that my risotto is done, I foam up the Parmigiano flavored milk, and that takes me a couple of seconds. On a side note, I took out the Parmigiano first. Well, that's it for today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to this channel and you like my content, I'd be happy if you support me by hitting the subscribe button. And by clicking on the bell, you would make sure to not miss out on the next videos to come. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!